Hi everyone, let's rank all Planet Zoo DLCs. This is a video that I've been so looking forward to recording since I started the channel, but I have to admit that it was so hard to rank all the DLCs because I love them all so much. I love Planet Zoo from start to end, and I think each DLC is unique and awesome. However, I've been analyzing them, and I think I found the categories that work for me and for my gameplay style. So please know that this is totally based on my opinion. You may have a totally different opinion, and that's totally okay too. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. So let's dive in. Here we have the three categories that I chose for the ranking: favorites, nice to have, and specific. Favorites are the ones that I 100% recommend prioritizing if you're planning to get the DLCs. Nice to have are the ones that I really like and I think they are worth it in terms of the animals and the pieces as a whole. And specific are the ones that I think work best for specific themes. They are awesome too, don't get me wrong, they're just very specific and they really depend on your personal preference if you're planning to create an area or build a zoo with those specific themes in mind. So with that said, the categories are ready, so let's dive in. Let's start with the Arctic Pack. For the Arctic Pack, well, the Arctic Pack has two campaign scenarios. It has 4 animals. It has the polar bear, the reindeer, the Arctic wolf, and the Dall sheep. And it also has more than 200 pieces. Those are all pros, right? The more content we get, the better. My cons for this DLC is that the pieces, well, they are very specifically themed. It's not really like a con, but it's not so versatile. So it's themed around Scandinavia. I love the theme, but it's very specific if you want to build an Arctic zoo or an Arctic area. And the animals are also very specific. They work best in tundra or Arctic maps. So because of that, I'm going to be placing this DLC in specific. I also considered it nice to have at some point, but because of the limitations, I think I would consider this one specific. Don't get me wrong, I love it too, but I think this one belongs here. So now let's go to South America. Now, South America has a special place in my heart. It is one of the most biodiverse ecosystems in the entire planet. In the pack specifically, we have the jaguar, the llama, the capuchin monkey, the giant anteater, and the red-eyed tree frog. We also have more than 250 scenery pieces, including foliage, which is something that I absolutely love for building the ecosystems. We also get unique animals, and that is one of the main pros that I see in this DLC, in addition to, of course, the South American theme, that we get unique rigs like the giant anteater, the shapes of the animals are very unique like the llama, and we also get an exhibit animal, the red-eyed tree frog, and I love exhibit animals as well. So those are all super great pros for me. And well, for the cons, well, you might consider that this pack is a bit specific as a con because all the pieces are themed around South America. And they are mostly themed around the ancient cultures of South America. But in this case, I went from considering this one initially as specific to nice to have. And then once I added the personal connection that I have with the DLC because I absolutely love the theme, well, I have to put this one in my favorites tab, so it climbs all the way to the top. Now let's go to the Australia pack. The Australia pack was a bit harder to rank. Why? Because I do think that it is super nice. I mean, the pieces are really nice. It has 5 animals: the koala, the dingo, the red kangaroo, the southern cassowary, and the eastern blue-tongued lizard. It also has an exhibit animal, the lizard, so that is a pro. And it has more than 230 building pieces. Plus, the animals are super nice because they also have new behaviors and animations, like marsupials and everything that comes with that different mechanic. What are the cons of this expansion pack? Well, the pieces are heavily themed around Australia. So that made me place this DLC somewhere between specific and nice to have. Because everything is so restricted to the area of Australia, I would have to rank this one in specific. However, I do love the pack and I want to emphasize that. I think they are brilliantly well made. Now, we come to the Aquatic pack, and I think you have an idea of where I'm going to place this one. Well, It has 5 animals. We have the king penguin, we have the gray seals, the giant otter, the dwarf caiman, and the diamondback terrapin. It has the exhibit animals, but it's also super versatile because it has more than 170 scenery pieces, and it introduces the faux rocks, which are recolorable, which are super amazing for their habitats. Plus, it comes with animals that can use the deep water diving mechanic, which is super awesome to see in the zoos. It adds so much versatility. Plus, it has a new campaign scenario. So with all of that, I really can't find any cons to this DLC. I think it's brilliant, I think it's beautiful, and I think it brings so many like new elements to the game. So I would rank it in my favorites. And within my favorites, I think it would be above the South America pack. So this one is leading the race so far, the Aquatic pack. Now let's go to the Southeast Asia animal pack. Now we go to the animal pack. This one only has animals, the Southeast Asia animal pack, which is something different. It depends on your gameplay style. If you like to build, you're going to like packs more. If you love like the management and actually seeing the animals behave naturally in the zoo, you're going to love animal packs more. In this case, we have 8 animals. We have the sun bear, we have the clouded leopard, the Malaysian tapir, the proboscis monkey, the North Sulawesi babirusa, the babirusa is super cute, and the binturong. We also have the duol, the Osuri duol, and the giant leaf insect. The giant leaf insect is one of my personal favorite exhibit animals. It also has a new campaign scenario, and the pros in this DLC for me personally is that I love the way the proboscis monkey, the binturong, and the giant leaf insect look. The cons for this expansion pack for me personally, since I love building, is that it has no building pieces. It is entirely focused on animals. The sun bear would be a con for me in this DLC. Why? Because I think it doesn't look really realistic like the other animals in other packs, or in this pack as well. And it will be on my personal wish list of animals that should be remastered for Planet Zoo 2. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. So because of this, I will place this one in nice to have. I was thinking about specific or nice to have, but I do think the variety of animals is worth it because you have 8 beautiful animals and only one of them I think should be remastered. Awesome, now we go to another one that has a special place in my heart. So I think you know where I'm going to rank this one, the Africa pack. The Africa pack has 5 animals, the meerkat, the southern white rhino, the African penguin, the fennec fox, and the sacred scarab beetle. It also comes with new enrichment items, more than 180 building pieces, and a new campaign scenario. I personally love the African theme, the pieces, even if they are very specific. It's something that I have very dearly close to my heart. So for me, it's one of my favorite themes of all times. Plus, I love the animals themselves. Like the meerkat really reminds me of the Lion King. Who wouldn't think of Timon when you see the meerkat? I love the fennec fox. The fennec fox is actually one of my favorite animals ever. And I absolutely love the sacred scarab beetle. I love seeing it and I love its unique behavior. So yeah, I think this one truly belongs in my favorites. Where within my favorites? Well, I would say this one, it's really tied between the Africa pack and the Aquatic pack in first place so far. Awesome, I don't see any cons for this DLC really. If you're planning to get one of these, I would highly suggest getting the Africa pack. Now let's go to the North America animal pack. The North America animal pack has 8 animals. It is an animal pack, it doesn't have building pieces. You get the moose, the cougar, the California sea lion, the North American beaver, you can see it here in the DLC art, the American alligator, the black-tailed prairie dog, the Arctic fox, and the American bullfrog. I do think that this is a great addition to the animal roster. It has a lot of variety, including the Arctic fox. So I'm going to place it over here in nice to have. You also get like a new Arctic animal, which is the fox, which is great because we already had the Arctic pack. So by getting this one, you also expand that roster. And you have a new campaign scenario and new enrichment items. So basically, there are a lot more pros than cons for this DLC. I would place it here in nice to have, and I would place it, I think, above the Southeast Asia Animal Pack. I love the North America pack better. Awesome, now we go to the Europe pack. The Europe pack is interesting. In this case, I'm going to rank this, and my main criteria for this is going to be the pieces. Why? Well, the Europe pack has 5 animals: the Alpine Ibex, the Eurasian Lynx, the European fallow deer, the European badger, and the fire salamander. I love that we have another exhibit animal, and I love the animals in this pack. However, the true highlight of this pack for me personally is the building pieces. We get more than 250 building pieces, a campaign scenario, and we get 3 new enrichment items. The pieces themselves are so versatile for building European zoos, for building city zoos. So I really do love the pack itself. I also love the food trucks that come with this pack. So I'm going to rank it all the way to the top. I don't see any cons in this DLC. I don't see any cons, only pros. So for me, this is in my favorites. Where in my favorites, I would rank it at the bottom. I would say at the bottom of my favorites. Yeah, because I'm choosing it here in my favorites because of the building pieces. Great, so now let's go to the Wetlands Animal Pack. The Wetlands Animal Pack has 7 animals. The capybara, which I think everyone loves, the platypus, the Asian small-clawed otter, the spectacled caiman, the Nile leshbe, the wild water buffalo, the red-crowned crane, and the Danube-crested newt. I think this DLC is, in one word, brilliant. It's one of my favorite DLCs in Planet Zoo. It has a new campaign scenario as well. However, the cons would be that there are no building pieces, but the animals 100% compensate them. I absolutely love the animals in this DLC. So I would definitely rank it in my favorites. Where in my favorites? Well, let me see. I think I would rank it over here, below the South America pack. It's in my top 4 at the moment, so it's really ahead of the race. Awesome, now we go to the Conservation Pack. The Conservation Pack is another brilliant DLC. Why? Because its main purpose, I think, is educational. And I think that should be the main role of games like Planet Zoo, educating about animals. It has 5 animals that are at risk: the Przewalski's horse, the Amur leopard, the scimitar horned oryx, the Shyamang, and the axolotl. The axolotl has a special place in my heart. I think it's so cute and I love it. I even have a plushie of an axolotl. So you can see where I'm going to with this DLC. It also has more than 150 scenery items, scenery pieces, and they are perfect for backstage area. They're very general, generic, and I absolutely love them because they bring so much authenticity to the zoos. Plus a new campaign scenario. So in this DLC, basically, I don't have any cons to mention about this DLC. It's absolutely brilliant. Where would I place the Conservation Pack? In my favorites? Well, within my favorites, I think it would be somewhere tied with the South America pack, over here. I think they would be ranked in second place. I think the Africa pack and the Aquatic pack would be in first place, and then the Conservation pack and the South America pack would be in second place. Awesome! And now let's go to the Twilight pack. The Twilight pack has 5 animals. These animals are the raccoon, the red fox, the common wombat, the striped skunk, and the Egyptian fruit bat. I absolutely love the common wombat. I was missing that animal since we got the Australian pack. And I also love the Egyptian fruit bat. I think it was an awesome addition, especially with the walkthrough exhibits. This pack also comes with more than 200 scenery pieces. It's perfect for building nocturnal houses and for spooky or Halloween builds. And it also has a new campaign scenario. I love the items are themed around the Twilight and nocturnal animals. So I do think it's super nice. However, the scenery, what makes the scenery really nice is also what makes it very specific. So that's where I'm ranking this DLC. It's perfect for gothic style builds, for spooky areas or nocturnal areas, but I think this pack fits more with a specific category. Now, let's go to the Grasslands pack. The Grasslands pack is another brilliant DLC. You know where I'm going to rank this one. Why? Because it has 8 animals. This one is an animal pack. It doesn't have any building pieces. That would be a con for this pack. But the animals are 100% worth it. If I could say they're worth it like 1,000%. What animals do we get with this pack? We get the maned wolf, the emu, the caracal, the red-necked wallaby, the 9-banded armadillo, the striped hyena, the blue wildebeest, and we also get butterflies. 5 species of butterflies for the walkthrough exhibits. Plus their interaction with the guests, because I love when the butterflies like land on the guests and they can interact in their hands. It's so beautiful. Plus we get a new campaign scenario based in Argentina. And I think all the animals in this pack look beautiful. Personally, I love the armadillo. I think it looks so nice. I love the blue wildebeest as well. And the butterflies look so beautiful. I think the team really did an awesome job. Plus we get the wallaby, which we didn't get in the Australia pack. So that is a new addition to our Australia and Oceania roster. So this one is in my favorite. This one belongs in my favorites. Where in my favorites? Well, I would say that the animals are so well made. I think they're one of the most precise and realistic animals. So I would rank it somewhere over here, I think. Somewhere tied with the conservation pack. Grasslands and conservation, I think. Yeah, I think this looks good. This looks good in my opinion. Remember that this ranking is totally based on my personal opinion. You are very welcome to share your thoughts in the comments and I love to read them. Where are we going? We're going to the tropical pack. The tropical pack has 5 animals. The fossa, the largibbon, the red river hog, the Asian water monitor, and the brown-throated sloth. It also has more than 200 scenery pieces and a new campaign scenario. The cons of this DLC might be that the pieces are very specifically themed, based on Southeast Asia. This is a little bit like limiting, because if you want to build with those pieces, they're very specific to that area. However, the animals are super brilliant. I love the brown-throated sloth. Personally, I was looking forward to having this animal in the game and I was so happy when we got the announcement. And the Asian water monitor, just like all the reptiles in the game, they look amazing. You can almost see like the texture in the skin. Super nice. I would have to rank this one in nice to have. Despite being very specific, I think this one deserves to be in nice to have. Where in nice to have? Well, I think somewhere here would be okay, between North America and Southeast Asia. Awesome, so let's continue. Now we go to the Arid animal pack. The Arid animal pack has 8 animals. The dromedary camel, the African crested porcupine, the addax, the Somali wild ass, the black rhino, the sand cat, the dama gazelle, and the desert horned viper. It has a new campaign scenario as well, that is another plus, but in the cons for this pack, I would say that it doesn't have any building pieces. Of course, it's an animal pack, but for me, since I love building, that is always something to keep in mind. And personally, I think that the sand cat would need to have a little bit of a tweak there. It would need a remaster to look more realistic. I think personally that the sand cat looked a bit cartoony compared to the real sand cat. So realism is always super important for me. In Planet Zoo, I love when the animals are portrayed accurately, and yeah, so that is something to consider here. Where would I rank this? Well, somewhere between nice to have and specific. This one took me a little bit more time to decide. I went back and forth between nice to have and specific. But ultimately, I think it fits better with the specific category. Why? Because these animals are from the desert or from arid areas. And that is something very specific. If you want to build a desert zoo or a desert area in your zoos, I think that this DLC would be very specific for that. I do love it. Please don't get me wrong. I love all of these DLCs, but I think they have very specific purposes within the game. One huge plus of this DLC, I must say, is the African crested porcupine, which is super unique. I love it. I love the sounds of the quills when the animals are moving, when the porcupines are moving, and I do think that they were brilliantly made. And now, moving on, we go to the Oceania pack. The Oceania pack has 5 animals. The North Island brown kiwi, the Tasmanian devil, the little penguin, the quokka, and the spectacled flying fox. It also has more than 200 scenery pieces. They are themed, but they are super pretty, and most of them are versatile, I think, like the netting and the different like roof, the thatch roof. And there are a lot of like wooden pieces that you can use outside of this theme. And we have a new campaign scenario as well. The cons of this DLC, well, I couldn't find many cons, mainly that some of the pieces, not all of them, are heavily themed, they're not so versatile, but I think that's also part of what I love about this pack, that they were executed and conceived so well that they are super nice to use even outside of the theme, like the lava and the tiki statues, and I just think it works so well. So, why do I have it here in specific? Well, I shouldn't have it in specific. I did consider keeping it here in a specific, but then I moved it to favorites. Because even though it is specific, it is one of my favorites. So, and since this ranking is based on my personal opinion, I think this one truly belongs in my favorites. Where in my favorites? Well, I would say here. I would put it before the Euro pack. Great, now let's go to the Eurasia animal pack. The Eurasia animal pack has 8 animals. It's an animal pack. It has the wisent, the viscent, the wild boar, the wolverine, the takin, the saiga, the sloth bear, the mute swan, and Herman's tortoise. With this pack, I learned a lot about new animals. I didn't know about the saiga. I learned a lot about this animal. I also learned about the takin and the wolverine, and this DLC really showed me a lot of new animals, and I'm so thankful for that. I learned a lot. I think the sloth bear was beautifully made, and the mute swan is 100% worth it. The mute swan brings something completely new to the game, and I absolutely love it. Plus, we have a new campaign scenario. The cons of this DLC, well, you know me, no scenery pieces, but this is an animal pack, so we can't really consider that as a con. Now, the animals are also very more specific. They're not so commonly known, but I also consider that as a pro because we get to learn about new animals, and that is, or I think should be the main purpose of Planet Zoo. So, where do I put this one? In nice to have. And I would rank it above the Southeast Asia animal pack over here. I think it fits nice, somewhere between the tropical pack and the Southeast Asia animal pack. And now that I see it, maybe I'm going to move this one over here above the North America animal pack. It's interesting how we're like evolving during the ranking. In my notes, I only have the categories. I don't have them like sorted within the categories. So it's interesting how I'm going to be evolving during the recording. So stay tuned to see how we finish this ranking. Now let's go to the Barnyard animal pack. For the Barnyard animal pack, well, you know, there were some like mixed opinions about this pack. I do personally think it was good for the actual theme that they chose, the Barnyard and the petting zoo. The animals that we get are 7 animals: the Sussex chicken, the Alpine goat, the alpaca, the American standard donkey, the Hill Redmoor sheep, and the Tamworth pig. These animals are perfect for the petting zoo mechanic that they introduced with the free update. We also get a few scenery items, a few of them 60 scenery items, and I love that this was the first pack that introduced scenery items along with the animals in an animal pack, plus a new campaign scenario. However, the cons of this DLC is that I think that it's very specific. If you can consider it like niche, I do think it is specific. It's very specific to farms and petting zoos. And the pieces are also specific, and they're not like so cohesive within the theme. We have some of the pieces that look like they are perfect for a farm, but we also have some like crayons and pencils, colored pencils. So that weaker cohesion in the theme of the pieces is something that I would consider like a con for this pack. That's why I would rank it in specific. And now we have the last 3 packs that we got. Let's go to the Zookeepers animal pack. In the Zookeepers animal pack, we get the Palace cat, the Hamadryas baboon, the Markhor, the Spectacled bear, the African spurred tortoise, Kirk's dik-dik, and the Cockerel's shifaka. Now, I absolutely love 3 of the animals in this pack, personally. I love the African spurred tortoise because I love tortoises and turtles everywhere, wherever I see them. In Jurassic World Evolution 2, my favorite animal was the Archelon, so I love turtles, okay? Now, Kirk's Dik-Dik is super cute as well. It's one of the smallest animals I think that we have in the game. And the cockerel's Shifaka, of course, who didn't watch at some point Sabumafu when we were little. It brought back so many memories of that TV show where I loved learning about animals. So these 3 animals make the pack totally worth it for me. They are unique. The con of this pack is that it has no scenery pieces if you are a builder. And I would personally suggest remastering 2 of these animals to tweak them a little bit. Like the Markhor and the Palace Cat. I think these ones, they might look a bit more realistic with a remaster of their their hair, their proportions, facial expressions. The Markhor, I think the eyes are a bit too large, and the Palace Cat, I think the head is a little bit too wide, so I will be making another video covering my suggestions for the remasters, but since we have 2 of those animals that I suggest remastering in this pack, I'm going to rank it here in nice to have. I think it's a nice addition to the animal roster. Is specific. I was considering placing this one in specific, but then I thought that it was nice to have because it has 3 of my favorite animals. So I'm gonna keep it here in nice to have. Where in nice to have? Well, I think above the Southeast Asia animal pack. Great, now we're down to the last 2. Awesome. Let's go to the Americas animal pack. The Americas animal pack has 7 animals. The ocelot, the greater rhea, the American flamingo, the white-faced saki, the coyote, the bush dog, and the bighorn sheep. We also get 80 plus scenery pieces. These pieces are themed around the Americas and around parties in places like Mexico. I think they do fit the theme very nicely, and this DLC does include a new campaign scenario. It expands the American animal roster, which I think could be expanded a lot in Planet Zoo. I think that's one of the main advantages of the Americas Animal Pack, that it expands the American animal roster. I do hope that this will be expanded a lot more in Planet Zoo too. So, the cons of this pack. Well, let me talk to you about the con. The greater rhea, I don't think it's accurate, the model of that animal. I think the overall body shape and the position or the lining of the feathers, it should be more curved downwards, and it should be smaller, and the body should be a different shape overall than an ostrich, and I think it's more similar to an ostrich what we have right now. So I would suggest remastering that one. That is a con for me in the DLC. Therefore, I will have to rank it in nice to have. I do think it is a nice addition because we need so many animals from North, Central, and South America. And this one expands that a lot. So I'm going to place it, I think, over here. Somewhere between the Eurasia and the Zookeepers animal pack, I think. I think that's where it fits nicely in my ranking. And finally, drum rolls, we have the final pack, we have the Asia Animal Pack. The Asia Animal Pack has 7 animals. The lion-tailed macaque, the Père David's deer, the Bornean elephant, the honey badger, the Japanese raccoon dog, the black buck, and the nilgai. The black buck is one of my favorite animals. I learned a lot about these animals in the pack because I wasn't really familiar with them, like the Père David's deer. I loved the concept of conservation and reintroducing animals that were almost extinct into the wild. And I also love the Bornean elephant. I think it looks a lot nicer, and it really shows how the team has evolved, creating the textures of the animals. The texture and the wrinkles in the skin look amazing. And I also think that the Japanese raccoon dog looks super nice as well. It's a furry or hairy animal, and the texture looks so nice as well. So I would rank this one in, well, let me tell you. I would place it in specific. Why? Because we also have 100 and plus scenery pieces. They are themed around Asian markets, and we have a new campaign scenario. However, these animals I think are less known, so it's a nice learning experience for the for the community. I learned a lot. However, they are not so common, so they're more specific if you are personally interested in creating areas around the Asian themed animals. So I would place them over here. Maybe, let me see where I would put them. I would put them above the Barnyard animal pack for me. Yes, I think this one looks okay for me. Within the specific category, let me check the rankings within the specific categories. Let's see if we have to do some adjustments here. The specific category, I think, looks good. Maybe I would place the Australian pack over here as the first one because I absolutely love the Australia pack. It is specific, but I love it. I think the Twilight pack as well. Because I love the wombat, I think I would place it here, and then the Arctic pack. Yeah, I think this looks really nice. Maybe the Arid animal pack would be here as well because it has the African crested porcupine, if I remember correctly, and I love that animal. And yes, I think this looks nice now. Now let's see with nice to have. Yes, I think this one looks nice. Maybe I would move the America's animal pack over here. Or here it's second. I think this one looks better now. Yeah, I think this is my ranking. And now with my favorites, we have Africa, we have Aquatic, Grasslands, Conservation, Wetlands. I think I would put the Wetlands DLC over here. But they're basically tied. I can't decide between the South America pack and the Wetlands animal pack. I think they are both unique in their own way. Then we have Oceania and Europe. And yes, I think I'm pretty satisfied with this ranking. Maybe in the future I'll change my mind, but at the moment I do think that this really captures my personal preference and my gameplay style in Planet Zoo, and these are my suggestions for you if you're planning to get those DLCs. You heard my analysis of these DLCs, their pros and cons, and this really depends on your personal preference and opinions. Please share them in the comments down below. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Have an awesome day!